That's one they should
Siri.
X from Google.
Oh, let's not talk about Siri.
Let's not talk about Siri. Don't get me started on Siri.
Siri's going to get you off on the wrong track.
But you know, but we become addicted to trying to be perfect when we should replace the P word perfect with just progress.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I want to live, working daily for progress in the area of my physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health, for example, my communication skills with other people, my care for the environment, save the earth, whatever it is. We just want to do it better.
Yeah.
We want to get better at taking care of each other.
Yeah.
Of course, and taking care of ourselves as well. So, if I say, well, what is it that I want to change? I want to change anything that was a consistent anchor in my life that either hurt me, the environment, or other people.
Yeah. Oh,
I want to change it.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if it was going to work for the greater good, then it would have worked by now.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
What is it that I want to keep the same? You look into your heart, you look into your spirit, you look into your daily activities, your life behaviors, your habits. There's some amazing things there that bring us closer together as human beings. There's some amazing things there that bring us together as people. There are some amazing things that bring us greater joy,
right.
With less suffering or whatever. So, yeah, keep those things and let's grow them.
No, this is good. Yeah. I'm hearing two things. I mean, one, people look into this new year and they think, okay, there are some things that I've learned I need to change. That's one thing. The second track is some people sometimes just get to that point where the rubber meets the road and they just want to stop. So I'm hearing two things, right? Changing some things, reevaluating some things, moving forward. The other option is, I've got this vigor, I've got this thing, like, I just don't want to stop. And I think that those are two different kind of things that I'm hearing that I like. That is, you don't necessarily need to change some things. Right. I mean, reevaluating your life is always for the better. For yourself, and for everyone around you. We hope.
Right.
But the other thing is sometimes you get so burnt out that you just need the the will to just keep going, keep moving, keep progressing, just wake up, fight another day, what I mean? So I think that's good too, that, when we look forward in this new year, it's not always about, okay, what can I change? Sometimes it's about, can I just keep going?
Right.
So I like what you said there, and two, what I also like is, every time we look into the new year, we're looking at 2018 and we're looking at, the New Year's resolutions and all of that. We look at the magazines and we're looking at entertainment TV. We're looking at the frontline headline news and everything, that we have to strive to be perfect. We don't have to do that. I like that, let's strike perfect and replace that with progress, because none of us are perfect. 2018, no one's going to wake up and...
We're perfectly imperfect.
Yeah, we're perfectly imperfect. That's about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good for our listeners to understand is, it's just kind of like, Christmas shopping. And, it's just a race to get things done or to check the box. No.
Buy into the hype.
Yeah. It's just crazy,
Well, it is when, if you say, well, some of us are competition driven, right? You know what I mean? So we build this thing in our mind that we have to compete with everything else out there in order for us to feel our own joy and success, right? So I'm just going to suggest to our listeners, hey, you're right. You need to compete in order to be motivated. All right, cool. I get that. Your number one competitor, matter of fact, not your number one, your only competitor is in the mirror. Go, if you want to find the one you need to compete with, go stand in the mirror, and you've got that person right there. Now you live progressively in every way that you possibly can with that person, and I guarantee you, this conversation by this time next year, by this time next year. Right. Your life will be totally different.
Totally different, yeah.
Compete with that person.
No, this is really interesting that you bring this up, because I had this conversation with a friend of mine and I said, this woman is so outstanding. She is accomplished in her own right, but she strives to not compete against herself, but she competes to let the world know that she's self-made and she doesn't need to be tied to the person that she's with, that her well-being, her self-worth, her existence as a woman is not tied to this other human being. And if you do that,
right.
if you need that is a never-ending cycle that will always continue.
right.
But if you look
right.
in that mirror and you are an accomplished, successful person in your own right, and you compete with yourself, you will always be okay.
Absolutely.
And it's just really funny because I think we have to do that all for ourselves is, we've got to really look in the mirror. And if we are setting forth a path that we think is right and that benefits most people, and we're doing what's right in our spirit and by God and all of these different things and makes our parents proud and all of that, stick with that. Do that. Because when you try to keep up with the Joneses or the Watkins or,
the Joneses got a jetpack. So I'm saying, right. So if you try to keep up, you're right. Well, we've heard the term our entire life, a dog chasing its own tail.
Yeah.
Right. That's a horrible exertion of energy. I'm not even sure keep up is a real thing. That's something that's created by society in order to exhaust us. Right. And therefore we can keep investing in what they say we need in order to feel okay about our own selves.
Right.
So going into this new year, if we just are addressing, even if we only address the umbrella of just self-care, under self-care, all of this will fall there. I can pretty much guarantee you that if we look in the mirror and say, that person in the mirror I'm looking at and we together we are team me.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Right. And that's
a pretty powerful team. Right. Yeah, and it is a lot to work on. That's a full-time job on its own.
Right.
So, you let that person's light shine. So the spirit of that person in that light can see its own way. It can see its own value. You know what I mean? It can see its own love. It can see its own worth. All of that, right?
Yeah.
And this is available to us. It's not only possible, it's actually available.
Isn't it?
It sure is.
In the comfort of your own home near you.
Right. And that is so true because, you mentioned willingness.
Yeah.
We have to be willing to even unlearn some things, because we've been taught and we've learned it very, very well that your value lies in someone else's evaluation of you or assessment of you, right?
Right.
If our value lies in what someone else's think, we're never going to be good enough.
That's
right. So we have to be willing to unlearn what we've been taught, which is, to care about look, there's a saying in the program that says, what other people think of me is none of my business.
Right.
None of my business.
Yeah.
Mind your business.
Yeah. Mind your business.
Mind your business.
Mind your business.
Right. Your business. So if we just say, let me unlearn the toxic information to make room, right, to embrace the new healthy information, right?
Right.
So, we're talking, when we talk about seek new tools, to help elevate your life, right? New tools that you can use. But if you're already cluttered, you can't fill a cup that's already full.
Right.
Get rid of some of the stuff of the toxic learning, unlearn something that makes some room, and then step into these new possibilities in this new year.
Right.
New possibilities. It takes two things from where I stand: willingness and courage.
I agree.
You can be willing, scared to death, fear-based, not move.
Right.
Right? You can be paralyzed in fear, stay stuck. Willingness and courage.
That's good. Those are two very good words.
Absolutely. Okay. So, I don't know, Steph.
What's up, Pep? What you got?
if you had to make a prediction for 2018 for the new year coming up, what amazing grandeur thing do you think we have in store for us coming up? Looking in your Steph crystal ball,
my Steph crystal ball.
Yeah,
Hey.
What would you like to see?
Okay.
What would you like to see rise to the surface, rise to the top in this new year?
That's a really good question. And I think, not trying to get into all the muckiness of 2017, which has been a whole lot.
Right.
There's been a lot of backlash on so many fronts.
Right.
You can call it the Obama backlash. You could call it the Hillary backlash. And folks, to our listeners, I'm not trying to get into a political conversation, but these are real things.
Yeah.
And as you know, you've been
In
a
our
world
real
traveler.
world. Right.
I mean, we need to really be in tune with our world. So what I would hope to see in 2018 is an awakenness.
Okay.
For humanity. An awakenness to breaking down hate. I think, you can plug any name in there. I think there's just been the voiceless folks are now being heard, and it's being manifest itself in ways that are getting attention.
Okay.
In the entertainment world and
Right.
the government,
Right.
all of this.
Sports
there are
world, right.
people that have not been heard.
Right.
And they are being misconstrued into, Republicans, Trump supporters. No,
right.
they just haven't been heard. And I'm talking about basic needs.
Okay.
The basic needs haven't been heard. So I think, what I'm going to see in 2018, and I hope this happens across the country and across this world, and mainly in this country, because
Right.
other countries, I think, are laughing at us when it comes to this
Did
stuff.
you say you think?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, right.
Right.
Can we just get back to the basics? Can we get back to taking care of people? Can we get back to self-care? Can we get back to, what feeds our soul, what moves communities, what makes change rather than the almighty dollar, rather than So that's what I'd like to see.
Okay.
And if we do that, I think it makes our jobs easier.
Right.
With what you're trying to do in your career, what I'm trying to do in our career, and our listeners here and our friends here that are listening to us right now in this room. We're in the
solid.
business of people. We really are.
Right. That's solid.
So,
that's
I'm
real
hoping.
talk. That's real
me.
talk. And I don't think that's too much to ask.
I don't think so.
Really, and I was thinking the same thing, that for me, now had I asked me the same question.
So Pepper.
Yes, Stephanie.
I got a question for you.
Yes. What might that be?
What do you see happening in 2018? What would you like to see?
What would I like
what
to
are
see?
your predictions?
All right.
And or what would you like to see happen?
Okay, well, here's the deal. Unfortunately, as a human species, we tend to move as a result of damage control after we do enough suffering, as opposed to proactive activity, right? So unfortunately, this runaway train that you're talking about, that has kind of plagued us in this 2017 year, I would like to see the mentality in this country be more that of selfless service.
Yes.
Selfless service. We have got to take better care of each other.
Yeah.
We do. Our options are just nailing out right now, right? You know what I mean? So, and obviously, just like they say in the airlines, put your mask on first, but they don't stop there. They say, then assist the person next to you.
Right.
Selfless service.
Right.
So we have got to be more of service to each other. And as you said, those who may not have had the voice in the past, right? We've got to give them an opportunity to be heard. Even speak for them if they, if they can't speak for themselves. But we've got to really invest in the energy and mentality of selfless service. Now, before we wrap up this podcast, what what I tend to do every year
What's that?